Retail in China, unlike, say, Europe, wasn't really established by powerful retailing foundations. Retailing was, to a large extent in China, influenced by property developers. They have a piece of land, they create malls, they create shops, and basically they hand over that responsibility to foreign brands and others to come in. So the kind of strong foundation that you will see in Europe, giants like Tesco, Sainsbury's, John Lewis, others, in China, the start was different, was more on property developers. And that remains the case in a number of ways. And you see a lot of those small owners are trying to dip their toes in the retail business, but they lack that kind of retail foundations, heritage. In addition, if you look at department stores across China, vast majority of them operate on almost exclusive concession-based model. Concession-based model means you don't own the stock. The stock is owned by the brands that represented in your store. As a result, if you go across all department stores, you basically see almost the same range, the same categories, the same products. Marketing, merchandise, supply chain, customer service, all these functions are delegated to the brands. In other words, those department stores are more landlords than they are retailers. So that's another example in terms of that kind of not strong foundation from retail perspective. You have a complicated licensing system between manufacturers and brands, distributors, principals, and so on. I'll give you an example. When Tesco arrived in China and they wanted to sell Coca-Cola, they were told by Coca-Cola they had to deal with 8 distributors, not 1, but 8. And you can imagine the kind of havoc this would create in terms of 8 distributors with 8 supply chains, with 8 different types of deliveries. And it's just complex in terms of how you go about these things. Also, the lots of relationships are very fluid in terms of distributors and principals and brands. Brands are trying to reinvent themselves to be retailers because they want to be closer to the customers, while retailers, like department stores, are looking for differentiation and hence are looking at ways to create that differentiation, such as private label development, which is again, not something very strong in China. Weak customer insight. So many businesses we visit, when we start to talk to them about their customer database, in many cases the answer is there is no customer database. So the 20 other questions I have about segmentation and profiling, obviously there's no point. And that is quite strange in the sense that not paying enough attention to understand who you're selling to and your customer target basically means that you're missing an opportunity, obviously. So we talked about franchising, concessions, all of these are examples to basically demonstrate that retail, in terms of retail foundation, doesn't exist, to how we can basically compare it to the European market. Finally, due to the decentralized model in China, things can get quite complex. So if you imagine, you have a department stores with 50 stores, each store is a separate legal entity. And any transfer between stores will basically be liable to taxation. So things are not centrally managed, very decentralized. And that's basically the way retail happens in China.